Namaskar. Welcome to the Global Governance News TV. And today we'll discuss the Biden-Putin talks, India perspective. And just yesterday, how the U.S. President Biden meets Russian President Mr. Putin, and there are so many India's perspective how India should go. So we have now our this guest, Mr. Indivar Parijat. He's a foreign affairs specialist and expert from the India. We have Vidya Bhushan Dhar from the Toronto, Canada. Always keep an eye the foreign affairs as a Indian Canadian. And we have Alok Lahar, senior journalist, social actor from the Spain, and Anita Chaudhary, just who is covering MEA and travel a lot and always keeping an eye the India affairs globally. So we will just today discuss about just the all the how the meeting went on, how was the discussion, and how the India take for that. So we will see how just India will be just a bit balance the conflict between the America and Russia. It's a challenge for the India to balance between the new and old friends amid changing international equations and priorities. Challenges from the China, trade and other issues are bringing India closer to America, while Russia is not getting this closeness from the India Western countries. This new and old friends of India, that is America and Russia, has been the fierce opponent. But now from the yesterday development, we have seen how they have been just balancing to each other. Although Russian president already expressed his view, whatever he thinks and he needs for the country, whatever just Joe Biden said last days, but I think not talking the last days and whatever objections are there. And yesterday, the meeting was very fruitful as both claimed to each other. And if we see the quotes unquote, this is a 4-hour talks between the two leaders, and separately respect offer for each other. The skilled boxer described the other's prowess and was expressed a desire for a better relationship. And announced no dramatic action to arrest their downward spiral had already hurtled them toward the worst US-Russian tensions in the Cold War. And if you quote, there has been no hostility, Putin said after meeting. And Biden declared, I did what I came to do, we did. So nice thing for the Biden was offering some modest optimism. The America has restored his alliances with Europe and has made the Putin more cautious about his actions regarded as being against American interest. I think the last thing he wants now is a Cold War, Biden said after in the news conference, the very lakeside view of the Switzerland, Geneva, just when the president of Switzerland welcomed both of the bigwigs and the land of Switzerland. Very, very beautiful city. I've been there. I see that how the Geneva Lake is very big and very already he has witnessed so many important meetings. Just like yesterday, they witnessed for the Biden-Putin meeting. Biden also just handed Russian leader a list of 16 examples of the critical infrastructure and had made clear that if they are attacked, we have the significant cyber capabilities and it responded in a cyber way. Biden also said there has been no hyperbole, no talk of military intervention in their exchanges, were described as a simple assertion. But is warning that accelerating Russian cyber operations would get in kind response and could signal a significant escalation in the daily cyber conflict now underway among the major leaders of power, including China, Iran, and the North Korea. Putin, for his part, denied that Russia has been responsible for the range of attacks on the United States. His denial seems to include both the sophisticated attacks like solar winds revealed last December, that US officials said had been launched from Russia premier intelligence agencies, and the ransomware attacks the Biden has said come from the criminal harbored on Russian soil. At the conference, turned the accusation back, and after they refused to take any responsibility for human rights violations, Putin or the invasion of parts of Ukraine, offering assertion about the warning a better relationship with the United States, and but no assurances he planned to change Russian behavior So as well as the Biden described the strategic stability dialogue focused on the new nuclear weapons that fall largely outside the categories currently covered by the few remaining non-proliferation agreement and first test of seriousness. With these topics, where India stands, how the India should behave with these two uh, great leaders meet to each other. Uh, Before the last 2 years, there are so many talks between the Indian counterpart with the Russian counterpart and the US counterpart, and there is it seems that the analysts say some US president of India also for the purchase of the S-400 missile system from Russia. Recent congressional research drive report also warned India's multi-billion-dollar deal to the buy Russian-made S-400 air defense system. So it resulted in the US countering America's adversaries through Sanction Act. And China also the big factor in between the two talks. So how this is, I think it needs a multi-alignment needed. How the India-Russia balance the Indo-Russia relations as well as the Indo-US relation. So we'll discuss today all of the questions how India should go between these two important talks held yesterday in Geneva, Switzerland, the beautiful city of the world. So I'll just start from Mr. Indivar Parizat, just you think about this meeting for on India perspectives.
Yeah, first of all, you gave a fantastic overview and a background to this historic meet.
Yeah.
And I'll be just talking about the Indian perspective, on this, I feel a better working relationship between the world's most powerful country, US, and another which is said to be a declining superpower, Russia, could be crucial for India's interests, especially with the supply of, as was mentioned, the supply of S-400 missile defense system to India, which is expected very soon from Russia. But before this, the US had imposed sanctions on China and Turkey, for receiving the same system.
Yeah.
But New Delhi could hope to escape going down the same route with the intention of the US and the Russia to understand each other better and seek common ground, as communicated by Putin. And better communication between the US and Russia could also translate in Russia brokering a deal between US and Iran, which could be good news for India, as Iran was one of the top oil suppliers to India. An agreement between Washington and Tehran could result in lifting of sanctions and resumption of oil supply, to India from Iran. And with US troops exiting Afghanistan, headaches for India are going to increase. But things could be better with some sort of understanding between US and Russia. And I feel the characters, may have changed, but the old, game theory still continues. A thaw in US Russia relation could also work in India's favor as it faces heat from the new emerging, superpower China, the only world power which India doesn't have, good working relations. India could be more confident receiving US and Western military hardware, some assistance, diplomatic support, without fearing that Russia will compulsorily move closer to China in that case. So hence a constructive relation between the two historic adversarial world powers, both with which New Delhi hopes to have good relation, is a welcome step for India. This is what I feel.
Sorry, just you think that this is a welcome step for India, how India should react and how India should go. It is really a matter of concern for all Indians, and actually our city of Indian, but Vidya Bhushan is sitting in the Toronto, Indian Canadian, and Alok is sitting in Spain, but keep an eye the India affairs globally. So Vidya Bhushan ji, just analyze these talks India perspective, and how how do you think how it will new equation will emerge and how affect India or not?
Rakesh, thank you so much for giving me the platform here. I mean,
Yeah,
what I could only say that in politics, what they say, whether it is local, national, or international politics, the nothing is permanent. Basically, it's the same Joe Biden who had told basically once that Putin is a soulless person and he's a killer. And now after 10 years,
yeah.
since that last meeting, he's sitting with him. Uh, there are a few, backdrops basically before I come to the Indian perspective. One is that the body language in the meeting from the Putin side was like, it was as if he was, conveying that I'm the boss here. Joe Biden had his aide with him who was taking notes, while Putin's aide was not taking any notes. So which speaks some kind of a body language here. And the two leaders, I can say that the relationship between Russia and America since last 70 years has become unchanged. After the Cold War in 40s, I mean, the relationship has always had a roller coaster kind of an effect. I will equate it with the same relationship with India and Pakistan in a way. We have the same conflicts, situations. We have had talks. They fail. They continue, something like that. Now, from the Indian perspective, I will basically say that there are basically four factors, as my other fellow panelists said. The first one is India is supposed to procure 5 S-400 missile system from Russia and the USA, and which USA has reportedly imposed sanctions on China and Turkey for the similar deal. Now, India is hoping for an exemption. Biden's, government's, stance may depend upon basically what the outcome of this, meet with Putin will come out. So India's dependence on Russia for some of its strategic nuclear arms deals will depend upon the outcome of this meeting. The second point is
yeah. Please.
The second point here is basically that our real threat in the region is basically not Pakistan anymore. It is basically Pakistan's all-weather friend China, and this relationship will basically enhance our chances to stand up against China on many fronts. The other one is basically the nuclear deal, which Iran was if you look at it, Iran was once India's top oil supplier. After the sanctions in 2019 over the nuclear deal. Now, Russia, which is Iran's ally, is playing a key role in patching up the nuclear deal. And if this nuclear deal reaches an agreement, oil supplies to India will resume. That's a huge win. If we are basically getting back our oil supplies from Iran, that's going to be a huge win for India.
Okay.
And then the last and not the least is basically the issue with Afghanistan, which I can say is a kind of a conundrum. Now, US exits from Afghanistan by September 21, which is scheduled, is a possible security threat and a big headache for India. Now, Russia is seen to be cozying up with Taliban. And even if we are saying that the violence is continuing. Now, power vacuum in Afghanistan and US-Russia equation, which may basically dictate the future. So whatever comes out of this meeting will basically dictate India's future with Afghanistan as well. India has got a lot of investment in Afghanistan. India has got a lot of stake in Afghanistan, and the power vacuum after the US departure will basically define a lot of things which will come in the future.
Yeah.
It may basically be a win-win situation for Modi government, or it may create more headaches. So this is my take on basically
Yeah, okay.
the recent meeting.
Okay, Mr. Bijabhushan. Just, but we know just how the India relation with Russia and America cannot be just one-sided. Now, all the parties their own preferences, so all have their own interest also. The international really, as we know, just you all also shared, international relations are based on their interest, and they keep changing time to time. Either the cold area at the time Russia and China views by different camps, but now seen together. Sometimes, though, according to the both the interest basically, as Russia sees India as a defense market. Now, also consider India as an important ally and creating condition against America. But as India also emerged in power, he also India's investment here. So cooperation between India and Russia has been seen the production of the corona vaccine Sputnik, how just Russia just supported, and how India is supporting the other countries also. As far as America, just we see that they changed the foreign policy for the India after 2000. Also, the which market strategic ally in India. So India is just you talking about the Afghanistan, Pakistan, China, terrorism, trade, all the issues. How the Trump administration or the Biden administration, America it is to us has changed or not. It was also matter of discussion. The section of Democratic Party may have raising India internal issue. President Biden had not commented that. So there is so many mixed issues. So I'll take from Alok Laharji. How just you understand on these factors? This is a keep and going, coming and going now. So how do you analyze the situation? Just how this is a new development, really new development regarding all the interests, either the Afghanistan issue and nuclear weapon issue and the defense market issue, all the way.
I mean, I'd like to start from what the previous speaker said. He was talking about the body language. And when the journalists were allowed inside, and there was a selected group of journalists which were allowed inside. I mean, if you see how President Putin was sitting and how President Biden was sitting, he was crossing.
That nice photographs appear in the NYT and others.
Yeah. And President Putin is very, he's sitting very open-legged, which obviously means he was more receptive about what President Biden had to say. Though before coming here, they had already expressed their skepticism on anything coming out. And he just clearly said, I hope something comes out. Because President Putin's stand has been that they don't have any real issue with America. And fact remains that there is no real issue between United States and Russia. But now what has happened is there are certain issues which have been given undue importance by America. And I think that's basically to stop Russia and Europe getting very close. I mean, for example, one of the issues is, let's say, for example, Russia is supplying gas to Europe, and this is coming through Ukraine. Now, Ukraine basically is dependent on Russia on almost everything. Even, they can't pass a single winter without getting the Russian gas. And same happens with Europe. So now, in case Russia wants to start a gas line between Russia passing through, let's say, the Baltic Sea and coming down to Germany, I mean, there should be no reason why America should not be happy about it. And in the G7 summit, the German premier had made it very clear that there's nothing to discuss on this. So they are making certain issues. I mean, on one side, President Biden is saying that Russia had intervened in the previous elections, and on the other side, they are talking about Alexei Navalny, leader of the opposition. I mean, come on, you don't want them to intervene in your internal affairs, but you have all the things. Like you can go ahead and poke your nose. I mean, actually, basically, if you see why Russia has been punished, is because of Crimea. But Crimea was part of Russia even when Catherine the Great was there. It was taken by, it was. So we're talking about 1800 something, and you can't base your relationship today. So I think actually non-issues have been made into an issue, and that is basically because America does not want Russia to be very friendly with the Europeans, and they have achieved it. I mean, human rights and I don't know what all kind of things they keep accusing them, but there are no proofs. At times it seems to me like it is Kejriwal saying something against Modi government. So it's very similar to that. And I don't think the Russian-American or American-Russian relationship is India-centric at all. I mean, we come into the fringes. When they are talking to each other, I didn't expect much to happen in this. So, I mean, it's a welcome thing. Let's say if you compare the body language we were talking about, the body language of President Trump and Putin was very different from the body language which President Biden has. He was more open. Like you put the picture right there, and you can see it. That he's cross-legged, and President Putin, he's very open to ideas. Now that's one thing. Even if you
Very
analyze
nice
what
picture, actually. This is a very nice picture. Just show the how
actually, it's a
just
very dry picture. You know, it
yeah,
seems like the two kids that
yeah,
don't want to play together, and they put them
yeah,
in the same room.
yeah.
Look at the expression they have on their face.
Picture
It's
speak
kind of
itself,
hilarious,
actually.
so to say, no?
Picture is so. Before going to Anita Chaudhary, just
Yeah.
I'll put some facts. The leaders also issued a joint statement promising a whole arms control talks
Mm-hmm.
and placing that a nuclear war can't be on and must never be fought. It was a statement that reached the back 36 years to a meeting between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev in 85 on same place, also in Geneva. See, this is also interesting fact. But this is also that meeting preferred the declare the whatever they need to be and said, okay, the end of the day it was unclear whether anything he saw or heard led to a revision on his view of Putin, and Biden declined to say whether he would still describe a Russian leader as a killer and argued that none of the conversation portended a start of friendship. This is not about trust, he said. This is about the self-interest and verification of the self-interest. Anita ji, this is a matter of the self-interest, verification of self-interest, and how, as an Indian journalist, you just analyze the this statement of Mr. Biden.
As Alok Lahar ji has said that we should go with the body language. First, I will here take a few minutes to brief the previous
Please,
meeting between America and Russia. It was
please.
10 year of Cold War and 3 year of Vladimir Putin as a chief of Russia.
Yeah, yeah,
And there was a one meeting between George W. Bush and Vladimir Putin.
yeah.
On that time, the statement given by the George Bush that I have seen humanity in his eyes, and I feel that he is dedicated with his country. But the Biden is the fifth president of America, which with whom Vladimir Putin is maintaining his relation in whatever way we will discuss a few minutes later. But in 2021, one more statement has came from American president, and in that statement, the present president Joe Biden has said that I feel that there is no humanities in his. He has just remembered one meeting with the Vladimir Putin, and he was narrating the story. I was sitting in his cabin, and he was there. We were talking, and I feel when I looked at his eyes, I feel that he is such a unhuman being. There is no humanities in his eyes. He don't believe in humanities. He's just a cold-blooded murderer. He is a killer. After that, it's the statement given in 2021 March, 16 March 2021, and
Okay.
after that the statement came from Vladimir Putin that I wish for his good health, because there is a narrative set by the Russian agencies that Joe Biden is mentally not fit. He is overaged, and he is mentally he is suffering from dys, dyspepsia and some other kind of disease. So he has just given a cunning smile and said that I am wishing for his good health, and he has given the open challenge that I am inviting you, let's meet. And it was the open challenge, let's meet and talk. I am going for my holiday, and this meet will be online and open, and we'll talk. And after that, one more statement came from the Biden. So in these kind of cheetah kashiwala statement, they have such kind of meeting,
But
and the
Anita
body
ji,
language
yeah.
was like so explaining all the story that the what kind of
No,
relation.
you are right. You are right. Just in diplomacy and how does the diplomatic relation we report any
The
journalist
my
report?
question is, after this meeting, Does America is going to uplift all the sanction which he has given on Russia? Does all the issues that the prisoner to
No,
the
you're right. You're right.
start deal, it will be finished? No, if it will not finish, again India has some kind of challenge that the India has to maintain separately with Russia and with America. There are two different relationships. I suppose that Joe Biden will also give some kind of liberty to India, which Trump has given with the relation of Russia.
Obviously. Actually, just you stated about the relationship will be the smoother and a very and the lighter way and go some result. So I can tell you just how they reported the different papers and how just came through the different news sources. Putin also left the door open for the deeper engagement with Washington. Then the Kremlin has been willing to entertain in recent years on issues beyond the cyber security and nuclear weapons, into the diplomatic spat and even the prisoner exchanges. Putin said he was ready for talks with United States, and he voiced unusual optimism about the possibility
you will see the result after a few months when the Juwani Jung will start. You will see the result after a few months.
No, as there was an allegation against Donald Trump also, as we know how the allegation from the Democrat side, as we know, as who just know, all are sitting here, who knows keeping on the eye on the foreign affairs as well as India. So we can't say like that. So I think Parijatji, in the new development, how just you think how India should balance to both of them? As no, I know nobody has going to ignore India, whatever relation is there, and China factor is also emerging between Russia and China, as we know. In the recent month, how the development is going in the fast way. So how do you analyze the role of the new turn of India regarding the two great relationship? The ice is going to melting now. Unmute yourself, Parijatji. Unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, we are definitely not in a position to advise either of the two countries.
But our perception should be there. What we need, what we think, as an Indian, we have every freedom to express our view. Just for the sake of humanity and for the bilateral trades between the two countries also. So I think
So clutching at straws and hoping against hope, and despite all the negativism, I'll say, despite the fact that there was no common press conferences or any agreement, and irrespective of what Biden may say to his internal audiences in US, because I believe Putin did address the press, but Biden did not, and he went to the US and in fact was not as positive about their meet as Putin was. But it is undeniable. There's no doubt that there was a willingness to seek common grounds and understand each other better.
Yeah,
that deserves to be lauded, and hence that meet is a positive step, and that could definitely work in India's favor in the long run. We hope to have good relations with both countries and benefit for them, and without antagonizing these two countries. So, for us, from our perspective, that's the best thing that could happen, and we hope that it'll work out. They will, despite their differences, they will, for the sake of world peace, for the sake of progress, for world economy, and to probably fight pandemic, as both countries came out with their vaccines. They work together on common grounds.
Okay, so if I see the situations and my personal own experiences, I was just part of the delegation of our Indian President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, in 2005, and I was privileged to visit the Kremlin and the joint press conference of Mr. Putin and Dr. Kalam. So very anecdotes, I'll not in detail, But nobody was just everyone saying, no, you will not ask the question of Mr. Putin. He is so angry man, and just he can react like anything. They will do blah 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 like that. But I find Mr. Putin is a very polite person, and very just that's what already the bilateral talks was. After bilateral talks, they came with just for the press conference, joint press conference, and I just privileged the Indian journalist for the. I asked the question, and he replied very and cool, and with everybody say, yeah, nobody have seen the smiling face of Mr. Putin. There's also a news among the news person and others, but my two questions he replied, and very interestingly, and very just anecdotes for me also, an asset for me. He replied very cool and calm way, and say, don't worry, young man, we are the good friends. We'll be the good friends till life, and our friends will grow like anything. That was a line, so I can't forget on that line. So Vidya Bhushan Darji. So that's why I mentioned here. So very interesting reminiscence of my life. So Vidya Bhushan Darji, as the Indian Canadian, just do you see any impact on the Canada relationship of these talks? One, and how just to India will move for the trade relation and other relation after this great meeting of the two great leaders. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, we can say that, the world is entered into a new world order. After the post-pandemic, the whole world is basically reeling under economic downturn. Yeah. And everybody is looking forward to, positiveness, in general. One thing which is very clear from the meeting is that the difference between the meeting leaders, Putin is somebody who calls a spade. He's not afraid of anybody, and he is not basically resorting to, those diplomatics, compared to, Biden. Biden is a seasoned politician, and who will not basically put things across the way they should be. He will basically, little bit, I can, say sneakily. This is one part of it. The second part is, ask me about how I'm looking at it as an Indo-Canadian. Unfortunately, in the recent times, under the current leadership of Canadian leadership, the relationship between India and Canada have lately been in very, unfriendly, and there's a war of words, basically, particularly due to the fact that the current government in Canada is, kind of supporting, the Khalistani elements. They have been, certainly, supporting the farmers' agitation, which, I believe is an internal matter of India. I mean, there was a statement by the Premier of Canada about the farmers' agitation. So lately, the relationship between the two vibrant democracies of the world, Canada and India, have not been, at its best. Now, with the new world order, new president in place in Washington, we can see that, a new era might happen. Basically, that's what I'm saying. The relationship between Canada and India will get back to normal. I'm not seeing it happening very immediately, very soon, because the Khalistani element is very strong, within Canada, and you'll be surprised. Though this is an out of context thing, there was a protest recently where there was an attack by one of the Khalistani leaders' relative on an Indian origin person who basically broke his arm. Now, yesterday the court acquitted him without any charges. So you can see the influence of Khalistani elements on the government of Canada, and which eventually has a larger impact on the relationship between India and Canada. And this meeting, as somebody said in the August panel here, that the core perspective was not India anywhere. We were probably on the fringe of it. Yeah. We were on the fringe of this whole discussion. Overall, I will see that the old animosity, the old Cold War, will basically kept aside, and larger interests of the global world will be seen. So that's my perspective.
Okay, so Alokji, in the perspective of just Vidya Bhushan Darji's in perspective of Canada, how just Canada PM and and the just farmers agitation, how the role of Canada. But that is a different issue from this meeting. What we have discussing, what you are discussing here, the Biden-Putin talks, India perspective. So, what do you think? What will be the outcome of the result? I'll discuss also some outcome also good. What are some of the collateral issues between the bilateral issues between the two countries? But how do you analyze after the European countries, that's the land of Europe, they made together 36 years back, now after 36 years after historical meeting. So what is the purpose of the meeting at the Switzerland? The recently when the Trump was there, say the meet with the North Korean leaders at the land of their space, Singapore. So what is I think something you think this is a diplomatic importance to meeting at Geneva in place of any other place?
I mean, we should not forget that the US-Russian trade figures are around $34.90 billion, whereas Russia-India figures are only $10.40. So business is going on between them. There is this attempt for arm twisting, which America got the better of when the Glasnost came, and they thought that they had broken the USSR, which in a way was true. But after that, like coming back, getting Russia back to its glory, that has been the work of President Putin. Now, the previous speaker, he said like, Putin is not a seasoned politician. I disagree 100% with him because he's been ruling Russia for 18 years now. That's a big deal. And President Biden, Biden has just come in and no one even knew. Everybody was thinking that probably.
No, Alokji, but Biden was also vice president of US when Obama was there.
He was, and he had been given some very good assignments by President Obama, and very difficult ones also. But that doesn't make him better than somebody else. We should be talking on these terms. Now, will something come out of it? I am very skeptical about it. Right now, what is happening is that there is a different world order. China is, catching up as the second world force. We're not talking about Russia anymore. We're talking about the United States and China. And China is not as forgiving. I've been saying that for quite a long time. That China is not so forgiving. And another thing which is happening is that we are seeing every day more and more weaker United States means that European Union, especially Germany, was not ready to do away with let's say the China relationship they had. There were issues where German Chancellor had clearly said that we need China when we talk about world climate. Now, if we want to talk about world climate, which is a very important subject for the future of the Earth, then we need Russia to be on the same page. And similarly, in case we keep boycotting Russia like we have been from a European perspective or from the American perspective, then it is very natural that, Russia will keep going closer to China, which is what the European Union or the Americans would not like. Now, that's another issue. Where does India stand in all this? I don't think we are the center of the world. If both these countries have better relationship, which we hope they'll be having, because at least one thing they've done is that the relationship, the ambassadors are going to go back to each other. Right now, the condition was that not even ambassadors were there. Embassies were existing, the staff is there, but the ambassador had been called back. So after this meeting, at least the ambassadors are sitting, they'll be talking to each other. They have to keep, not going accusations which are baseless. In case you have some substantial accusation, then it is okay. But I think my personal opinion is that it is Americans are at play here rather than the Russians. And Russians would love to have a better relationship with America because in case they don't have these economic embargoes, they'll be selling their gas to Europe, which Europe also needs. So that's the reason France and Germany were not very supportive of America when we were talking about G7 also. So keeping in view China and the relationship Russia and China can develop, that is more important right now. And I think that is one of the reasons why President Biden had to take this step to meet, or they could have gone without meeting. Nothing was going to happen. I don't think there's going to be dramatic change in this.
No, but you just expressed a view about the China factor between the interests of the two, and I think the try. But this is also a matter of fact. There is no discussion required. Recently, just made the US, Japan, Australia, and India have formed the quite to deal with the challenge from the China, as well as there is no. But also China is a good factor and a big factor for the due to India conflicts with China. The interests of India and Russia has divided here. The border dispute between China and India is also going for a long time, as we know. The armies of both countries are face to face. Recently, we have seen so many incidents, and the perspective of China and Pakistan also a challenge for the India, as you already seen many times, as you discussed with Devotion Dharji and also Parijatji just hinted on that. But in such situation, America has emerged an ally for the India. So I think the interest of the both countries be at one place. And regarding China, how they counter either the Russia or either the US. But in such a situation, China remains also a big factor in the India relation with Russia and America. So I think my question to Anita ji, how just you think the China is a big factor between the relation between Russia and America regarding India relation? How do you analyze this?
Obviously, China is a common factor between the relation of these three countries. Either it's a relation of India and Russia, and China is on centric point, Pakistan and China. If we will talk about the relation of Russia and America, yes, China again plays a strong role between them. If it's a relation of America and India, yes, China again plays a very important role between these two countries, because China is a centric point. China, whatever, not after COVID, before COVID also, China was playing their expansion policy very well, and America is totally against of it. Russia has some kind of you can say that they have some kind of majburi, or they have some kind of need that they have to maintain their relation with China nowadays, because India is getting their close relation with America, and again Russia has also developed its strategic relationship to check and balance between these Asia Pacific countries. So naturally, Russia wants the command, its own command on India, because India was a big market for Russia.
Both of them.
For arms and ammunition.
America and Russia, both of them. India is a big market.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if India play tactfully, it can encash this relationship, because India has to. India at any cost, India has to counter China, and these two Power Five, among Power Five countries, they are big support for India. China is only one hurdles for NSG. China is only one hurdles for UN. China is only one hurdle for many things. So if India will maintain its relation with both countries tactfully, I think the outcome will be, because in diplomacy we have a separate relation. Maybe you are my enemy, and maybe Alokji your enemy. But I have a good relation with Alokji, so it doesn't matter.
It will never be. Alokji not the enemy, never be. Sorry. Yeah, please. So
Yeah,
you should give another example.
Don't take
Another example.
I've just put one example.
It is all are your friends. So all are your friends. Nothing acceptable. Sorry, in any case. Sorry. All Parijatji, Vidyaji, Alokji, and you also. So you can give another example. That's okay. That is acceptable. But not this. Sorry. Please go ahead.
America has given one exemption. America wants its good relation with India. So during the sanction on Russia and Iran, America has given exemption to India. So we should consider that India is need of both these countries. So we have to play with these countries to encash the opportunity to counter China and Pakistan both.
Okay, so
This is my
Parijat ji, there is a China factor between the India, Russia, and US relation. How just do we counter the China factor with maintaining the relationship between the both?
I say, naturally, there has always been an inherent sense of distrust between US and Russia, but the reason, and perhaps due to the pressure of emergence of China, which is challenging the role and the position of both countries. So hence, both US and the Russia are feeling the need to communicate with each other better. And the first step is always, a start of dialogue, especially after years. And as was rightly pointed out, when the two countries didn't even have diplomatic relations. So I guess China is a big reason why the two countries are probably wanting to talk to each other and find common grounds. And we are fence sitters, but for us, for us and the world, it's a welcome step. And I guess because of the geopolitics being changing because of pandemic and because of emergence of China, there is this dynamics changing. That is why these two countries now probably feel the need to talk to each other. China is definitely taking Russia's place and challenging the US as well. So both countries have some common grounds to talk now. This is what I feel.
Okay, so nice. So I'll take the from Vidya Bhushan Darzi. This is a China factor between the India, US, and Russia relation. And number one, number two, how, as we know, the Russia and China is coming together with so many mutual interests. So India should be also alert on this. So how do you analyze the situation?
See, China has always been a nail in the coffin of India since like Nehru's debacle in 60s. And China has always basically thwarted our progress in Security Council, in naming terrorists from Pakistan. So China has always created roadblocks for India. Now with the cozying of relationship between Russia and China, India has to basically be diplomatically very strategic on how to basically benefit from the relationship with Russia on one side and America on the other side. So China has become basically like a necessary evil. I mean, we can't do without China, and we can.
But with the Bhushanji, still we have maintained the diplomatic relations with China. Whatever government of India did it, that is not up to the mark of the public sentiment.
Correct.
If you see after the recent whatever they done the attacks to India and with so many ways. Yeah.
You see, in the pandemic, the business has grown actually with China, despite the fact that there's a general perception among public that
China is the main country who has spread this Wuhan virus. Nobody can deny it.
But the business is still
there are so many facts. There's so many proofs.
Rakesh, business has still gone up. If we look at the numbers, basically, I mean, we have done more trade with China than before, like in the same fiscal, because of the dependence. So, as I said, repeatedly, that China is a necessary evil.
I read from Anita ji, who all support the government. So, how the government is reacting to the China relation, that is also one question. So,
exactly. I mean, certain enemies we have to basically live and die at the same time with them. So this will ultimately boil down to the diplomacy, how basically we will get the benefit out of China without basically antagonizing China, because China is at a strategic place in many things basically. Like for example, the belt initiative with Pakistan. They're supporting Pakistan in big way, and Pakistan is fomenting cross-border terrorism. So it's like a hand in gloves. On one side, China is posing as our friend, but on the other side, it's basically backing Pakistan, on many fronts. So our strategy has to be that we have to basically, in the new world order, as I said, post-pandemic, China has to be contained on one side by Russia and other countries, which we have seen that there are talks actually going on that China need to pay for basically the pandemic. This is on the other side of it. That's another diplomacy which is going on. So it's not going to be an easy path for India, basically, to contain, or to keep both the friends at the same level. For example, Russia closing with China, and you're having the relationship with Russia and China both. So
Yeah.
So the new meeting basically will open some new dynamics in the world, because Biden is
Yeah.
trying to basically prove himself, though he's a seasoned politician. He has seen and done it all basically in the last 35, 40 years of his political career. So we hope that he brings in some positivity to this meeting, leaving aside their own personal egos, and bring a new world order. That's what I hope and believe.
So actually, if you see the U.S.-Russian dialogue and how what was the outcome, so very interesting. The U.S.-Russian dialogue, the strategic stability and cyber security, as well as the agreement for the U.S. and Russia ambassadors to return to their post in Moscow and Washington.
Yes.
They're very interesting facts. And Putin also said that there is potential for compromise on the issue of several Americans imprisoned in Russia and Russian represented in the United States. This is a very nice thing. Just both have agreed on some point, but it is also interesting that now I think they have already understood. So COVID will not be there now. So I think no such reported on the COVID situation and discussion. I think both have the I think vaccine and all things there. So if the quote the Leo Tolstoy, there is no happiness in life, but there is only glimmers of it. So Putin also talk about the glimmers, and if you see on the situation, it is a challenge for India to maintain the balance between Russia and America. In the same way, Russia and America will not want to lose India as an ally. Therefore, it remains to be seen how these countries are able to adjust to the challenging priority. And priority, we know how we have the priority for all the interest of either India and the China, either as the Russia and the USA. So nice of you all just participate in the wonderful discussion, and you all just placed your view, express your view. So before just finishing that, actually completing this talk, I'll take the one small inputs from Anita ji. How just India is going for the relation with the China. A very brief, actually.
In one line, we don't have any good relation with China. We are just leading our relation in a very diplomatic manner. We are trying, because we all know that the dialogue is only one way to overcome any problem. So we as a country moving looking for a solution, and we are moving ahead with some kind of idea that yes, one day the outcome will come. China is a very cheater kind of country. We all know that whatever very cunning country.
So bluntly use the word. I think that should not be the diplomatic term. So just sorry
but
for that.
I'm not talking. I'm not a diplomat. I'm not handling the diplomacy of the country. As a citizen of this country, I am telling that China,
agreed. That agreed. This is your sentiments as a citizen of the India. That's
that
agreed.
Whenever we have trusted China, whenever we have trusted China,
but
dragons has shown their back to us.
Anita ji, that also so many blunders done by Pandit Nehru in the regime, and due to the blunder done by the Nehru, thus we have no UNSC, and the last 50 years we may be the member of UNSC, and just now a temporary member. So
the only one thing, the McMahon line, in Bhutan, the China is considering that McMahon line, but Arunachal has a different criteria.
No. We'll talk on the Indo-China relations, on all the topics. Will include what you are saying. That is your reaction as a journalist, but as a citizen of country of India. So that is acceptable. So nice of you all attended this discussion. The Biden-Putin.
Today, whole world is saying, Rakesh, that China is a cheater country.
Okay, that whole world also accepted the Wuhan virus as a spread globally, but all are just keeping mind and watching the development of the China as well, as China is the business-oriented country and thus a big trader in the world. That is also truth. Should we accept what is the fact is there? But there is a way out, and all are thinking on the way. and we are also thinking on that. But this is the big positivity. The last Wednesday, the Biden-Putin talks, and all will be affected and benefited from this respective talks. This is good thing for the humanity, good for the positivity of the country after this COVID effect, we can say. So so nice of you just attended this wonderful discussion, and all of you thanks, and we'll attend the next more meetings. So Vidya Bhushan ji, Alok Lahar ji, Indivar Parijat ji, Anita ji, thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Again meet on the Global Governance News TV platform. So nice.